What is up, guys? It is Christ, and we are back with another King Diamond video. Welcome back to the Abigail album reaction. I told you guys that I was going to see this one through to the end because the story was really good in the beginning, and so we're going to be continuing that with Abigail. And so far, the story itself is set up pretty good. It opened with sort of what we believe to be the death of Abigail, and it sort of like went back in time to where they first had arrived to this mansion, and they were stopped by I think horsemen. I think they were stopped by 7 horsemen, if I remember correctly. Um, and they were kind of left with an ominous warning, and unfortunately, I do know what that warning is now. The warning was 18 will become 9, and I was kind of speculating like what that would be. I kind of said that maybe it's talking about killing someone, cutting them in half, maybe decapitating them, and it's not the case. The person's actually pregnant, 18 being the age, 9 months, 9 being the 9 months. I wish I wouldn't have known that. And it is what it is. We're just gonna continue because I think I would have been pretty surprised when that actually came. So without further ado, we're gonna be checking out A Mansion in Darkness and also The Family Ghost. So I'm pretty excited to hear this. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Amazing solo. crap. So I just want to acknowledge that that aside from the like completely separate from the story, the musicianship in these songs that I have heard by King Diamond is phenomenal. There is so many amazing riffs. The drums are absolutely amazing. The solos are blowing me away on this album. We're gonna start with a musical analysis first. Um, I'm not really a fan of the high pitched vocals, but I can deal with them simply because it is an absolutely amazing story, and the music behind it is absolutely amazing. So while the vocals aren't necessarily my favorite thing, I can deal with them, and that's not going to detract away from how I feel about this song and the album as a whole, because all three have been absolutely amazing when it comes to music. And I could easily say that this is shaping up to be a really good album for me. Um, I think that the bass was on point. I will say this: the treble is too high in this album. I think that the treble needs to be brought down or the bass needs to be brought up. But other than that, it's the only criticism I have for it. I can't really consider the high vocals criticism simply because I know there's a lot of people that love that stuff. I, for one, happen to like a lot of high-pitched vocals. For example, Andre from Angra, I really like his high-pitched, and then I love James LaBrie. But it's kind of like a toss-up. Like there's some I like, and there's some I don't like. For example, Rush, the lead singer, the what song is it? Tom Sawyer. Specifically, I do not like his voice. This guy, I kind of don't know how I feel about it yet because I could very much learn to love it, but it's too early to tell yet. However, let's talk about the lyrics because lyrics are really interesting. So it says, "Riding up the alley in the rain." I'm guessing this is talk about going up to the house. Uh, no lights to show the way. How could this ever be their home? Through the darkness, you can only see a giant shadow that swells to be. A house where evil rules at night, and the shadows at the gate, they seemed to be alive. So they're talking about how as soon as they get up to this place, they could tell right away that something is off with it. Um, when they talk about giant shadows, it could be just things that in the house, or it could actually be that there's a sort of like some sort of evil presence there. Obviously, there is, since that's what this song is about. And it says specifically where it says a house where evil rules at night. Um, the shadows at the gate, they seem to be alive. I'm guessing this is talking about shadow people. That's common, like paranormal type of thing. And it says everything inside was left untouched, except for what the rats had got. So in other words, this place has been vacant for a very long time. The only thing that has been disturbed is where rats have chewed things up. I'm guessing is what it's talking about. Uh, the dust of time that showed its mark. I didn't know what this was talking about at first, but then when I realized about it, things get sit for too long, uh, dust will collect on it, and that's what it's talking about. I thought initially it was talking about like a clock of some kind, but it's actually talking about just things sitting in a house for a long time, and that's when dust will settle. And it says armed with candlelight and open eyes. They don't have anything else. They don't have any other sort of way. All they have is this little candlelight. Um, Till every room was lit again. I'm guessing there was candles in the room they were able to light. The house began to breathe. It seemed to be alive. This is a very interesting line. Um, I watched what was it called? A House with a Clock in the Walls, and I guess I can like sort of like kind of understand what this is saying simply by thinking of that movie where there's kind of like a spell on it, and the objects in the house come alive at night, kind of like Night at the Museum, but way more kind of like sinister. I wouldn't say sinister since it is a kids movie, but yeah, um, more of a kids. It's not really entirely a kids movie. And it says, Jonathan said, "Let's go to bed." The fireplace had ceased to burn. Both were fast asleep before the dawn, dreaming, and they did not know about the shadow. Yes, the shadow on the wall, it really came alive. The shadow on the wall, sunrise. And so it looks like I don't know if this is saying that it happened in his sleep or if like he saw it like right before he went to sleep, he saw shadows moving inside the house. Either way, it's a really interesting setup here because here's the thing: if I see that there's like stuff going on with the house and I'm about to spend the night in, I'm gonna turn around the other way and I'm gonna go somewhere else. Like, there's no way you could get me to stay in a haunted house. You could very clearly see things are very, very wrong with this house. I would never do that, but these people must not have anywhere to go, or they're not really afraid of that kind of stuff. We're just gonna have to find out. Overall, it's got a really interesting story behind it. I liked that this each one is sort of like a scene from a movie, which is what I like about these types of stories. This is what I liked about concept records is the fact that it tells a story over the length of the record, and I never really appreciated them until Metropolis Part 2, and ever since then I can't get enough of them. Um, so yeah, I would say that this is overall a very interesting setup. There's a lot of different ways it could go uh, with what they have set up here. We're just gonna have to find out here in about 20 seconds, considering I completely forgot to start up the Family Ghost. Now, I'm hoping I don't get a crappy version, considering. Okay. We're gonna have to do something a little bit different. I'm hoping that this will start a song. Nope. I don't want to have a really crappy version, so you guys will have to be patient with me. Um, yeah, I probably should have done this beforehand, but I didn't think about it. I don't like to have crappy versions, especially when the first time I listen to songs, so therefore I try to get really only the best versions. I think it was, what was it? The Family Ghost. So overall, I think the story is really cool so far, and there's a lot of different ways that it can go, and I'm really interested to see like where the story takes us, simply because I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how the story is going to end. We have Jonathan. I can't remember the lady's name, but it's going to be interesting to see like what happens. I'm pretty sure she gets pregnant and she gives birth, or rather, gives rebirth to Abigail, which is going to be kind of interesting to see. We are almost set up here. Apologize for this. Hopefully you guys don't mind this. I don't really have any editing software that I could use. Okay, did it work? No. Oh, this is gonna suck. I wish I had some sort of editing software. Oh wait, I'm doing a Mansion in the Darkness. I'm so stupid. I don't want. I guess I probably could have. Okay, looks like we're gonna have to go with this unless I can get it up on Spotify.
Your
I
eyes
can't.
don't
So unfortunately, we're gonna have to go with the crappy version.
deceive you.
I'm thinking this
This
was
taco is filled with crunchy, melty.
I sampled a different. Uh, I sampled a different one and it didn't come up correctly. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. Hmm. Okay, Family Ghost, King Diamond. Apologies for this. I'm not checking out the music video, so we're gonna check out this one. Okay, let's get started. Pretty excited to see where this takes us. I guess it would help if I actually unmuted it. Holy crap, that's ominous. I'm debating on whether doing another song. That's a cliffhanger. I'm sorry. I don't like cliffhangers. I know people don't like cliffhangers. And so I don't want to wait until the next reaction to find out what happens here. They left that on a cliffhanger. Um, let's go in. I'm trying not to do like a lyrical interpretation by somebody else. I'm trying to like do it for myself. I'm trying not to read ahead. So um, there's most of the stuff you see is pretty genuine. Um, let's see. What does it say? The darkness came closer to home on the following night, and Miriam slept like a rock when Jonathan's face went white. The bedroom was ice cold, but the fire was burning still. So, a lot of times, uh, if like with paranormal stuff, like demonic possession and stuff, um, sometimes like the temperature will drop, even if there's like heaters and stuff. And this is something similar that's happening. Um, and it says Miriam slept like a rock when Jonathan's face went white. The bedroom was ice cold, but the fire was burning still. The blinding light. The family ghost had risen again. The ghost. Don't be scared, my friend. I am Count de la Fay. Let me take you to the crypt down below where Abigail rests. So, in other words, he was not able to sleep when a ghost suddenly appeared to him. And the ghost, it doesn't seem to be violent. the ghost is trying to communicate with him, trying to show him something, trying to tell him something. Um, and the ghost continues to say, "Let Miriam sleep. She would never understand. Now come, let us go. It's time to know." So yeah, we know what that is, but we'll get to that here in a second. So this ghost is telling him, "You need to follow me. I have something to show you. Something that Miriam doesn't need to know about." And she says, as they're, I'm assuming, walking through the house, the mansion, "Beware of the slippery stairs. You could easily fall and break your neck. Hand me that torch, and I will lead the way to the secret in the dark. Take a look into the vault, the sarcophagus of a child." Now, a lot of times in hauntings, like, ghosts are not able to like manipulate and interact with like physical objects, which is, or at least like, not for the most part, which is kind of interesting here because it says specifically that it's a ghost, if I remember correctly. Let's look up. Yeah, the family ghost has risen again. The ghost, it's a ghost. Um, And a lot of times, in like paranormal like type stories, ghosts are not able to interact with environments, which is really weird to see here. And she says, "Beware of the slippery stairs. You could easily fall and break your neck." So I'm assuming this is like some sort of like winding staircase, or a staircase that doesn't have rails or anything. "Hand me that torch and I will lead the way," which again, like I said, is kind of strange, but we'll roll with it. "Take a look into the vault." In other words, there was like this hidden place where they didn't know about. I'm assuming it's like deep in the basement, deep underground. And there's a sarcophagus of a child here. We know now that this is Abigail. Abigail has been in here for years and years, stillborn. I think someone had said that she had died in 1777, and this takes place 100 years later or something like that. Um, this Abigail has been in here for years and years, stillborn. She was born, I guess, dead. "The spirit of Abigail is inside your wife, and there's only one way you could stop the rebirth of evil itself. You must take her life now." Um, Now, when it says evil itself, this could be like sort of like an antichrist figure where they've come to like bring hell on earth, which is really interesting concept. So I'm kind of curious to see if that's what this person is, or maybe she's just like, I don't know. I don't quite know yet. We'll find out probably more about Abigail, what Abigail is later. Um, so far, a really interesting story. Let's make this video half an hour long. Let's go ahead and do another one. I'm sorry, this is like really interesting to me. And so the next video is called, it said, "The 7th day of July 1777. So let's see if we can find it. The 7th day of July 1777. Hey, look at that. We actually have the correct version this time. All right. I really don't like ads. Whatever. I need to buy YouTube Red simply because it would benefit me so much. Okay. It looks like this takes place in the past. song. Oh no. Holy crap. Holy crap. Amazing solo. Holy crap. Holy crap. Let's pause it there. I don't want it to start another ad. One thing I do want to mention is I completely forgot to talk about musical analysis in the last video. And holy crap, there's one thing this album is amazing at, and it's the musicianship behind it and the ability to sort of like set the atmosphere um, set the atmosphere for like the different scenes and stuff that are happening in this movie. Um, and it's pretty cool to see. So the music in this was absolutely amazing. The guitar solo was absolutely amazing as always. I think there was actually multiple, um, but the riffs in this album are consistently amazing. Excuse me. It's almost 11:30 where I'm at right now. So the um, the guitar riffs in this song and this album are absolutely amazing. Um, and I never really quite knew what King Diamond was before, but now that I've heard some of like the music that he makes, I am definitely down to listen to more albums. But the drums are absolutely amazing as well in this album, and the bass is really there's nothing to complain about when it comes to music. The only thing I can complain about is the EQ, which again is just kind of on the high side. But that was kind of typical of music back in this day. If it wasn't really high pitched, it was kind of muddy. Um, and as like obviously by Metallica's "Ride the Lightning," uh, and "Justice for All," I believe Master of Puppets as well sounded kind of muddy. And a bunch of other artists at this time. There was some that had a better EQ, but for the most part, this is pretty typical of the time period from what I have heard and I've experienced. Um, and that doesn't in and of itself really bother me. Um, as much, but it's something that I definitely like the more modern sound where they kind of have a balance of highs and lows that wasn't really prominent back then. But that's really my only sort of like comment on that. So let's get into a lyrical analysis. So we had theorized what had happened to Abigail on the previous song, and lo and behold, it actually goes into that here. Um, so this is, I believe, takes place in the past. It says Count de la Fay uncovers his cheating wife. 9 months of loving and sharing. It was a bastard child. How could he have been so blind? And then he says, no bastard baby will inherit what's mine. Another one of her affairs had left him in despair. So, in other words, um, the mistress, she'd had multiple affairs, but this one just so happens to have ended in a baby, which is pretty pretty sad. Um, but yeah, so he had loved her and cared for her, only for him to realize that as soon as this baby came out, that it was not his, which is that would be devastating to find out. And so he says, so it goes on to say, so he pushed her down the stairs to die. No, she cried, I'm assuming as she was falling. In 1777, on the 7th day of July. So there's a recurring number in this album, and it's 7. I'm so tired. Yeah. There was 7 horsemen, I believe. Uh, this takes place on the 7th day of July, which is also the 7th month in 1777. So 7 is definitely a recurring number in this album. And it says the countess broke her neck, and the embryo came out dead. A lot of times it can happen after a mother dies. She'll give birth to the baby. He says then he burned his beloved wife. Um, and the embryo he gave a name. Abigail, you must rest in shame. So that's pretty ridiculous. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm so tired. It says, obsessed with a strange idea, he wanted to mummify the girl for the future to find, and he did, which is very, very, very creepy. Mummifying an infant was just, I don't even want to think about that. Like, that's messed up. Um, and then it repeats the course. So he pushed her down the stairs to die. No, she cried in 1777 on the 7th day of July. So this is a very, very dark album. Um, Abigail was um, Abigail was the baby of the Countess. It never says her name. Oh, I'm so sorry. It never says her name, but at least it hasn't yet. But the fact that he was responsible for this child is pretty sad in and of itself. Um, he wanted to punish the baby for something that the baby didn't do, and honestly, like I'm not gonna get into it here, but like the baby doesn't exactly have the choice of whether it wants to be conceived or not. That's the only thing I'm gonna say about that. Um, but yeah, so that would be devastating. I can't imagine having a pregnant wife and then all of a sudden she gives birth to a baby that's clearly not mine. Um, that's terrible. But there's no way I would kill someone for that. But then again, this house or whatever, it seems to be sort of like influencing him or something. I don't know exactly what's going on here yet. Maybe it'll go into more detail, the thought process behind that, or what happened to Abigail after, because obviously the Count is a ghost. He know that like this baby is evil. What happened? What happened in between when she was mummified until our current story, what happened in between there that caused him to know that this baby was evil? That's what I want to know. Please do not spoil it in the comments. I already had something spoiled that I was pretty sure that's going to play a huge part to come. Um, and so, yeah, I don't know. But one thing I can say is I don't think that it's going to end up with Jonathan killing his wife. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I don't think it's going to end with Jonathan killing his wife. I think that he's going to spare her and give birth to Abigail again. And then Abigail is obviously going to be possessed and evil, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know really where the story's going. Hopefully I'm right. Because I definitely don't want her dying. That'd be kind of sad. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought of it. I realize this video is almost 40 minutes long. I do apologize. We are definitely going to be doing the rest of this album. I really am enjoying the story so far. Hopefully you guys are too. If you guys are new here, you guys want to see the rest of the album, Really bad place for that. Please make sure you subscribe. I will definitely be doing the rest of this album. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Pretty excited to hear the rest of the album. I'll see you guys later.